In the second advertisement for the meatball supper, I noticed that one big difference between the column A and column B is that the typeface choice is not as sensitive to the subject matter. For a meatball supper, using the font Mesquite is not quite so appropriate. The font is associated with wanted posters, old westerns, cowboys, outlaws. It doesn't really, well, it adds something to the meatball supper context that might not really be there. It's not a cowboy meatball supper. And so it's important for the designer to be aware of the message that they are sending when they use a certain font, because every font has a history and every font has previous connotations. Like, for example, Myriad, I think, is the one they use for Apple. When you use that font, it definitely makes things look like a new, let's see, what do I think of when I think of Apple? Just kind of clean, modern, cutting edge technology, and pretty. What else? Anyway, I think you guys get what I'm saying here is that it's very important to choose a font that matches the message. So over on column B, Meatball Supper, they've chosen what looks to me like a marker felt, probably. So it's like handwritten looking. It's just kind of like a mom's get together, meatball supper. Anyway, it has a very different feeling. Also, one issue with using Mesquite is that they've also, not only have they used it for the meatball supper title, but they've also used it down below for smaller text like Wednesday, the date, and the time. The problem with that is that Mesquite is a display font. So it's only meant to be used for titles. It has a lot of intricate details on it, like the little points on the edges of the letters. And when you shrink that down to like the date and time information, which looks like it could probably be a 12, maybe 14 point font, it gets very difficult to read. Wednesday, October 4th is much easier to read in column B than it is in column A. And so it's important to understand how the type or typeface or font was meant to be used. Was it meant to just be used as a display font, or was it meant to be used in blocks of text like paragraphs or in small text for information? Each font or typeface is designed with a specific purpose, and it's important for a designer to be aware of what is a good font for the text body and what's a good font for the title. Basically, you can use a text body font for the title, but not the other way around. You definitely do not want to use Mesquite in a paragraph of text. That would be a nightmare to read. So just wanted to point that out. And then down below, last for the garage sale, we have one thing I noticed is it has to do more with just an awareness of hierarchy. Garage sale is really the most important thing. The paragraph below, to be included on the map, bring a list of sale items. That's kind of like just the FYI, the small text. In the second, what happens in column B is that they made it smaller. Like over in column A, it takes up about a third of the real estate, which is giving it a pretty high weight in the hierarchy. Whereas in column B, they've limited its space use. They brought the font size down and kind of put it off to the side to give it less importance. And it's taken about maybe a quarter of the real estate instead of a third. So that has to do with hierarchy, and that's something that is learned when you're a designer through practice and just being aware of what is the focus. The focus is that there's a garage sale and it's taking place on Saturday, October 10th. And the other information is more like the fine print. Anyway, I think I've said enough about the IQ test, so I'm going to get started on opening up InDesign.